Bumblebutt Podcast.
It's not my shit.
Maybe it's extraterrestrial.
It could be. I hope so. I've talked a lot about aliens recently. Not that I mind, but...
Well, you should mind.
Why?
I don't know.
I want them to sexually assault me.
That's...
Is that inappropriate?
What,
Yeah.
the aliens?
Yeah, the aliens.
I'd be okay with that.
If they extracted your semen and then impregnated themselves, Jordan, you'd be fine with that?
Yeah.
Even if you
I feel like they're far enough away where I wouldn't have to pay child support, because I don't think that carries over, like, intergalactically.
Well, here's the real thing. Like, most of the time you hear aliens, they don't really have any sort of currency. So how would child support work? And then, if we really think about it, that they have all their children as like test tube babies, or like they're made in a lab, like, who can be a parent?
Who can be a parent?
I don't know. It's like...
It's not a parent who can be a parent.
That was a terrible pun.
I know. I gotta get back in the swing of this thing.
You just go. You didn't yell Eminem, or what would you usually do? Listen to Eminem.
Yeah.
You gotta blare Eminem.
I know. I forgot.
Instead, you're playing your card game.
I forgot. Oh yeah, Teppen.
Yeah, tell us about Teppen.
Well, Capcom, creators of such amazing IP as Street Fighter and Mega Man, released their own card game in the Hearthstone style, I guess. It's a little more like a MOBA plus a card game. So there's lanes. You gotta block them. It's a lot about timing, which is different from most card games I've ever played before. But it's pretty good. But it's got everybody.
It's addicting?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's quick.
Does it have like the pay to win format, or
Yes.
is it like okay? But I'm assuming you can earn the cards naturally, right?
That's what I'm doing. I haven't bought a pack yet.
And you always play Chun-Li?
Chun-Li, yes, because Nergigante is cheap right now.
Okay.
Overpowered as hell. He has like a spike attack that kills all your cards right away.
Okay. Wait, does the hero have a special power outside of the cards?
Yep.
Okay. And what does she do with those wonderful thighs of hers?
Well, I have her as Yawn, so that way it fills up the MP, which is the cost of each card. So that way you get it faster and you can put out better monsters or spells or whatever.
Okay.
It's a good time.
So all the cards are monsters, like creatures?
Well, yeah, there's humans, like Chris Redfield's in there.
Okay.
I have a couple of him. Makoto from Street Fighter, Sasquatch from Vampire Savior.
Sasquatch?
Yeah.
Does he look like a Sasquatch?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's like a big white
What's
furry.
the game you mentioned?
Vampire Savior.
I don't know if I've ever heard of that.
Darkstalkers here, I think it's called.
Yeah. Okay. Here?
Yeah.
You live here.
Well,
You are an American man.
Listen, I've seen so many tournaments, and you only play the Japanese version, because that's the...
Okay, I gotcha.
So it's a Vampire Savior. It's good, though. Teppen's good. It's a good time. For free, too.
Put down, what's the popular one? Castle Crashers? No.
Yeah, I think so. Crash Royale.
Crash Royale. Quit playing that and play Teppen.
Teppen.
Yeah, fire that out.
Yeah, man. That's about it.
Hell yeah.
So, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Bumblebutt Podcast, the only podcast on the internet that uploads weekly, except for last week. Who knows what it'll be about? Certainly not me. My name is Adam. Sitting across from me is Chicago Boy 1 Jordan.
Howdy.
How are you?
I'm good, bud. How are you?
I don't know. Decent.
Does it feel good to be resurrected from the dead?
Yeah. Yes. It feels good to rise up.
What is the afterlife like? Like, was it black? Was it like...
I'm not allowed to say anything.
Okay.
One way or the other.
You vowed to silence with JC?
I had to. Or whoever it was I communed with. Okay, I'm not allowed to say that either. Jordan, you said you were good?
Yes, sir.
Sitting across me also is Chicago boy number 2, Cody.
Am I number 2 just because I had a ride in the back seat?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll accept that.
You can't be number 1 if you're in the back.
I'm great. I'm sure you know how horrible this week's been with the humidity.
Oh, yeah.
We're sweaty
Sticky.
boys.
Even Max. History of never sweating.
I don't even think he has sweat glands, and somehow he was like I figure he had like the same genetics as like a pig, and he can't sweat. But yeah, somehow he was sweating too. How about you, Jordan? Were you sweating too?
I was sweating like a fucking stuck pig.
Wait, didn't you say you have AC in whatever rich person's house you're in?
Yeah, but we were working on finishing the outside.
You should have saved that for not yesterday.
That is not what the boss wanted us to do.
Awful. What an asshole.
Does he give you free water or like Gatorade or?
Yeah, he'll roll up with like a cooler full of stuff.
Nice.
It was something like at your job you drink alcoholic beverages on the job.
Occasionally we'll have a beer on lunch, but
I feel like that dehydrates you more.
well, yeah, it's not all the time.
And it's not... They're not slabbing them, I don't think.
Yeah, it's like we'll have one.
What's the ideal temperature for like curing bricks or whatever you're doing? Like putting them on, like is it better
for
cold
like
or
mortar
hot?
curing?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the warmer the better.
Okay. So the humidity doesn't affect it at all?
The humidity does.
Okay. All right.
Does it make it all watery?
No, it just makes it like dry up slower. So like the stone or brick or block or whatever we're putting in will like be holding in the humidity from the air a little bit, so it won't absorb the moisture from the mortar.
It's just like detailing. Wiping down those cars.
Yeah.
That fucking wax just doesn't come off.
Well, in my office, the air compressor, you know, when it's humid, it just like sucks water off. So that all that comes through the air lines is fucking like a fire hose. So you have to keep like emptying the lines over and over. And of course, the system that's designed specifically to extract the water out of the lines is broken.
Yeah.
So you have to like pinch the lines, otherwise it just leaks constantly. So it's a nightmare. It's just a nightmare all around.
I'm ready for it all to burn, baby.
Well, we shouldn't complain too much. I'm pretty sure in like 2 weeks it'll be gone, maybe. I don't know. What do you think?
The Soviet, or the...
Yeah, the Soviet assault on Minnesota.
Yeah, it'll all be gone.
If you were Red Dawn in Minnesota, what would you have to name your crew, your little militia?
One of the Gophers, maybe? I don't know.
They're not very, like...
Ferocious.
Imposing.
Yeah. Shit.
Yeah, but with enough of them, they can be overwhelming.
I guess the Vikings.
Okay.
That would be fine.
All right.
I guess.
The Gophers, like, you don't shoot anybody, you just dig a whole bunch of holes in front of their base and piss them off. That's your whole goal.
A lot
They
of
just get
twisted
frustrated and leave.
They'll put those little sensors that emit noise to get you away from there. These fucking Gophers are tearing up my lawn again.
Eventually, they're just going to go Caddyshack and drop a bunch of C4 down in your holes.
It's the way to go.
Well, from Caddyshack, he's immune to explosions and water and everything, so you can't kill a gopher that easy.
That's true.
He's immune.
And speaking of creatures with strange paranormal powers, maybe we could throw it over to Cody's
Yeah. Should we dive in here?
Yeah, man. Let's go.
Well, let me just start off then. This week, we will revisit one of our most popular subjects we called sexual encounters with extraterrestrials.
Oh.
Definitely in the top 10 of all time.
Sadly, Quit Y'all does not make a return. I'm sorry, just
Don't
throwing that
tell
out
me
there.
that.
Rest in peace, big homie.
I think he's technically dead anyway, if we want to believe whatever his wife or girl's name was.
What was his girl's name?
It wasn't Karen, was it?
I don't know. It was probably like Cindy Lou.
Probably
She
Cindy
was from
Lou.
She worked at a Texas diner, so maybe it was Cindy Lou.
There were definitely two first names involved there.
But
Carol Ann.
Carol Ann, was
Could
there?
be Carol Ann.
I don't know. Anyway, but either way, these stories are still very good. They're a little different though. They're not quite as romanticized as before. Like we focus more on like
Love.
the alien and woman or man being in love or just a one night stand.
The connection.
Right. They will certainly make you wonder why exactly do aliens seem to have so much interest in the sexual anatomy of human beings, and even the relationships humans have with their chosen partners. Would aliens really attempt to mess with human beings so much that they would attempt to play their very own matchmaking game for unknown reasons? Have you guys ever heard of that before?
They're playing like a dating game?
Where they like say you, right?
Yeah.
They're programming you so you run into whoever. So they want you to be a couple.
Okay.
So they're like
Alright.
forcing your hand psychically.
Well, all right. That's just another, like, God theory then, right?
But it's the aliens doing it to you.
Okay, that's fine. I'll roll with it for now.
So, like, maybe Jordan has psychic visions of Amy prior to meeting her.
Of Amy Boo MN?
Yeah, and, like, the aliens wanted them to come together.
Yeah.
Well,
Do you think so, Jordan?
I mean, I could see it as a possibility.
You could? If you don't think it's your charming, winning persona?
I didn't know I had one of those.
Jordan, you definitely have one of those.
Yeah. You're like a little puppy. They want to pet you.
And fuck yeah.
So, perhaps we should start off our story with a little appetizer, a little foreplay to get everybody into the mood.
Yes.
The following story was titled The Wisconsin Co-ed.
It's Jordan.
That's obviously what I thought of. And it begins in the spring of 1970 in, you guessed it,
Ohio.
oh, Wisconsin.
Oh, shit.
Close.
You were almost there,
God
though.
damn it. While parked at a local Lover's Lane, the co-ed and her boyfriend were doing what most people do at Lover's Lane,
Necking.
discussing the Packers season.
Oh, yeah.
Coach Mike.
Was Lombardi still coaching them back then, Jordan, in the 70s?
1970?
Yeah, probably.
Probably Bart Starr still playing.
Hey, definitely.
Rest in peace, brother.
R.I.P.
So, the couple soon began to notice an object hovering not far off of the ground in the distance. The co-ed soon became afraid like any normal person would and demanded that her boyfriend return her to her dormitory. By the time they had reached her dorm, her nerves seemed to settle a little bit, even though the couple didn't discuss what they had witnessed the entire ride home, which is weird. They then kissed goodnight, and the co-ed made her way into the dormitory building. About an hour later, she headed to bed and fell asleep with thoughts of UFOs behind her. She then began to feel something that irritates everybody, having the covers of the bed being pulled off her while she was attempting to sleep. Then, something began tugging at her leg. She opened her eyes, and she was shocked at what she was looking at. It was a tall, hairy, man-like creature leering at her. Once it took notice that she was looking at him, he lustfully grinned at her and began pulling her slowly across the bed.
Okay, tall and hairy. Why are you describing me?
Is this you?
And Wisconsin.
Do you know this Creep It Real just did that Succubus episode? And
Do you think this was a succubus?
I mean, it just sounds familiar. Sounds like sleep paralysis or whatever.
In my book, like, they have a little picture, and it literally looks like a Sasquatch.
Awesome.
Like, pulling her
Awesome.
there. She said this later about what happened next.
I was paralyzed. I couldn't move, and I couldn't scream. There was no mistaking what plans the grotesque male creature had in mind for me. Then I thought very intensely, God, please save me. At just that moment, there was a very brilliant flash of light on the ceiling, and the horrible creature disappeared. I wore a cross for a long time after that.
Jesus comes to save the day once again.
I wish the hairy man creature would just been like, there is no God.
Yes. Yes.
What if he just wanted to cuddle with her?
Your God doesn't love you.
Would you be terrified if a hairy man was, like, pulling you across the bed when you're sleeping?
I don't know. Cody, I'll come over tonight and
Yeah, do it.
shirtless and
I don't
do
know.
it to you.
I don't know if you're quite hairy enough. Like, you'd have to be full Polish or something, like a Greek man.
Yay.
Like, maybe this is a Greek delivery man.
Mediterranean, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Greek people don't get that big.
One face, one race. Remember that.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds offensive.
It's not, though. It's
Okay.
it's that Greeks and Italians are both Mediterranean. One face, one race. They shouldn't hate each other.
As long as they both like Guatemala olives, I'll agree with that.
All right. And what are those?
Like the purple ones.
Are
that
they
you
filled
get in
with
this,
stuff?
yeah, they usually have a pit, If you get a Greek salad, they're usually in the Greek salad.
Oh, I hate those.
They're very strong.
Too strong.
They're very strong. A similar thing happened to a woman in San Diego. The night in question, she had witnessed what she believed was a UFO. Thinking nothing of it, she went home. She went home and off to bed as she usually would have. When she turned the lamp off in her bedroom, she began hearing a strange buzzing sound around her head. Something that is somewhat common in alien encounters mythos, as if they are trying to communicate with you telepathically.
Oh, like a little radio going off or something?
Either way, she said this later about the event.
It moved about in circles, and I can only describe it as a bee buzzing. Then it seemed as though I had a man's voice. It kept buzzing over and over. I love you. I love you. Whenever I turned the light on, it would go away. The second I snapped the lamp off, it would be back buzzing around my head. A few nights later, I had the sensation of someone getting into bed with me. I heard the sound of heavy breathing beside me. It was as though whatever was there was actually lying next to me. It smelled like rotten seaweed. I was so frightened that I couldn't move. The next day, the bed was wet and slimy on that side.
Ooh, Fishman.
This is really what it's like having sex with a mermaid, I think. It's like, is it possible she just had a wet dream, maybe?
I don't. Oh, come on. Snail trailing across the goddamn bed.
Gail the snail was in her bed, probably.
Oh, yucca pucka.
I love It's Always Sunny. Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to move on to a Sharon K story. Now, Sharon's story seems to lean on the fact that she could have perhaps been in the aliens' plans since she was born. Her mother claims that when she was born in early October 1957, the night she was brought home from the hospital, Sharon had a visitor.
Oh.
Her mother claimed to see a man hovering over the crib Sharon was in.
That's just her dad.
She said he was wearing a sort of light blue garb and gave off a glow that reminded Sharon's mother of an angel. She claimed while it was quite weird for a man to be there, he was very handsome and gave off a benevolent vibe. I'm sorry. If you have a newborn, nobody should be in there.
No.
Nobody should be in there.
Not even if he's tall, glowing, and handsome.
Sharon's mother would always just assume this was Sharon's guardian angel.
God.
Yeah, okay.
Sharon's father also had his own experiences with the aliens. He claimed that about a week before Sharon was born, he had witnessed an alien craft land in his backyard and watched what he called was, quote, little men come out of it.
Listen, back in those times, it was probably just like a Toyota.
Probably.
Be like, that's a goddamn alien craft there. Why are they all 5'4" and dressed like they're from Reservoir Dogs?
Goddamn,
He was probably
shot him
so fucking plastered, he just thought he was seeing shit back there.
Yes.
So he watched them move back and forth, in and out of the craft for 45 minutes. They were taking soil samples and collecting leaves that had fallen from the trees, almost as if they were making sure the home was suitable for Sharon's arrival.
Dude, spraying for ticks? Mm-hmm. Ticks are the silent killer in this country, man. Lyme's disease is on the goddamn up.
I had one of them on me like 2 weeks ago.
I'm telling you.
You got Lyme's disease?
No, I got it before it could latch onto me.
Good. Attaboy.
At the age of 6, Sharon and her younger sister Melody, who was about 4,
Lame name.
claimed to have been abducted while staying at their aunt and uncle's home. In the middle of the night, Sharon was awoken by a glowing horse head outside of the window, and it was speaking to her telepathically.
I need hay.
when you
Soul
Okay,
cubes.
I'm guessing these kids probably watched Mr. Ed or whatever before they went to bed, and now they see a fucking horse head. Why would the aliens be putting a horse head outside of their window?
Because every little girl wants a pony.
Okay, yes, good point.
Oh,
Good
this
point.
will make them love us if we put a glowing horse head.
A creepy horse outside your window is talking to your brain here. Melody was already heading towards the window, and Sharon decided to follow.
Brave.
The next thing they remember was heading towards a brightly lit object that they later said reminded them of Christmas.
Oh.
The rest of their memories are blank from this point on. The next thing Sharon knows, she woke up in her sister's clothes, which were clearly way too small for her to be wearing.
Pranksters, those aliens are.
Apparent-
Like, it'd be funny? Switch clothes.
Switch their clothes, man. Just get them. Apparently, they just don't know girls' clothing sizes. I don't know, or they're just fucking with them. I don't know.
They're not stupid. They knew what they were doing. They were like, we took the small clothes off the small one and the big one off the big one. But we're going to fuck them up right now.
Sharon was abducted once again at the age of 7. This time, she remembers more vividly her experiences within the craft. The aliens would be described as your typical greys that everyone knows. Sharon remembers being on the examination table, and the aliens forced a sponge-like object down her throat that caused her to vomit, which the aliens quickly collected and proceeded to examine the vomit, which is gross. Sharon claims she was so terrified on the examination table, it caused her to wet herself.
Which the aliens quickly collected and made a sample.
No. Apparently, this freaked out the aliens, and they didn't know what to do.
Oh.
And they were all in a panic.
Oh.
But they called him back up, and one of them came and cleaned it all up. Apparently, they don't pee, maybe?
Oh.
So maybe they don't I assume they understand that humans pee. I don't know.
But they have the quilted quicker picker-upper up there.
Yeah,
Bounty.
the fucking bounty guy just comes up like one towel, and he shows Sharon. He's like, see, one towel. Yeah.
We love your commercials. They tell us all.
Next, they inserted a long metallic object up her nose, and she recalled hearing a crunching sound, which, if you remember, was the same thing that happened to Betty Andreessen.
I don't remember, but
don't
I'm
remember
glad.
that?
I am glad that you reminded me.
They also probed her ears and bathed her in rays of light, also similar to Betty Andreessen. Later in life, both Sharon and Melody would have small metallic BBs fall out of their nose for no apparent reason.
Okay.
That's what they say.
Well, that's what we call Oklahoma cocaine.
Where you snore fucking little BB.
Yeah.
I feel like you wouldn't get high off of that. It would just be a BB.
Listen, they're not the brightest in that state.
Okay,
It's
all
that
right.
panhandle cocaine.
Melody also had a perfectly straight scar about a ½ inch in length on her right leg, like they had performed some type of surgery on her. Both girls would need to have hysterectomies at a young age.
Oh.
Apparently, both of their ovaries had swollen up to the point of almost rupturing.
Ew.
Sharon claimed that the doctors who performed the hysterectomies had no explanation why their ovaries had swelled up so much.
We just got to yank these out. We don't know why, but they're coming out.
It's like, you think aliens would be smart enough to know, like, if someone's ovaries are going to explode, like, or whatever they did to
They
them.
had a problem when she pissed.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Okay, maybe they're still working out the kinks in it.
Yeah.
they don't know about all the fluids we make yet.
The following events took place in May of 1996. Sharon was sleeping with her husband when she was awoken by a mysterious bumping sound. She was shocked to see a mysterious extraterrestrial she later described as a small... Okay, do you remember, was it 2 weeks ago I said the word that I didn't know if we should ever say on
Yeah.
here? That she described this as?
Listen, I'm looking at it on the paper right now.
I Googled it to
Yeah.
see how bad it was,
Yeah.
and it's very bad. So I think maybe we should skip over that. What do you think?
Negroid.
Okay. All right. Yes, that is this lady's words. That's not our words.
A small negroid.
Yep.
She says.
Well, a small black man, basically, about 3.5 foot to 4 foot tall.
Why would she describe it as that?
I don't know. And in 1996,
That's so racist.
it's very racist. Anyway, he was wearing a full astronaut's outfit with a helmet, dark blue gloves, and boots. She could see his face through the visor and claimed he looked very human-like. He was holding a round black device that she claimed looked like an old-style radar gun you would see police officers use.
Oh.
Sharon claimed he was pointing the device at the window, almost as if signaling to something. Then all of a sudden, a bright white glowing light surrounded him, and within a few minutes he disappeared. A few minutes later, she noticed a super bright white light shine through the window, and then it went dark again. Almost as if the craft sped up, or whatever, charged up and took off.
So, like, it was almost like he summoned the craft.
Yes, like he did that. Beep, craft beep. Came up, he went in there and then got the hell out of there.
He just hit the remote start.
Yes, the Tesla come
You'd
to me.
think the aliens would have a remote start. I don't know.
I think so.
The peculiar thing was over the following days, she began to feel a weird pain on the top of her head. Upon feeling the top of her head, she felt a small lentil. Why can't I say this fucking word? She felt a small lentil-like object just below the surface.
Like a bean?
Like a tiny little bean.
I see.
It was located right where the plates of the skull join and directly above the part of the cerebrum responsible for thought and consciousness.
Huh.
Over the next few weeks and months, the object seemed to bury itself deeper into her skull.
Did she go to a doctor?
You're going to know she does not go to the doctor when you should definitely go to the fucking doctor.
No, there's a weird thing in my head. Maybe I should get it removed.
Yeah, a little beam is making a high-pitched noise.
Yes, exactly. Sharon recalled that it began to emit a very high-pitched frequency that caused her a lot of pain. Now, this is where the part of the story when all the alien tampering might start to make a little sense. Shortly after the implant had seemed to bury itself somewhere in her body, Sharon was giving a lecture about all of her alien experiences, which already sounds bad if you're bragging about your alien shit, when she took notice of a man in the audience.
They can reach you at any time. Maybe don't, talk about it.
Apparently. Well, this is probably why she's not going to the doctor, so she can, that's her job now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden, she seemed to recognize this man of which she had never met before. Sharon remembers seeing what she called, quote, psychic visions all throughout her life. Oddly enough, this man felt the same way.
Whoa.
He had always had his own psychic visions about the beautiful blonde woman he was witnessing in front of him right now.
Whoa.
While they wouldn't interact just yet, they both felt like they immediately fell into love with each other.
Love at first sight.
Apparently, well, see, this is where I'm saying the aliens are forcing them together.
Fake love at first sight.
Mm-hmm. Their paths continued to cross, and eventually they began to see each other romantically, even though Sharon was still married to her current husband.
Oh.
Naughty, naughty girl.
Naughty.
Now, we will refer to this newfound lover as Nicholas, which is not his real name. He doesn't want to give his real name, apparently.
Okay, that's fine.
Now, Nicholas had his own UFO experiences prior to meeting Sharon. He recalled being chased by a UFO while driving down the highway.
Are we getting Nicholas's story as well?
We're getting Nicholas's story. We're going to see how they have pushed him into the picture, too.
This is a 2-for-1.
Mm-hmm. He could see bright lights in his rearview mirror following his truck. In fact, something caused his radar detector to burn up from electromagnetic effects.
Of course he has a radar detector.
It appears the aliens had forced his truck to shut down and was promptly abducted, but Nicholas has no memory of this.
Whoa.
Now, Nicholas had actually been having his own UFO experiences beginning at the age of 10. He first saw a UFO after a huge train wreck in Louisiana. Nicholas was also in the Vietnam War and would witness strange flying objects, especially in high combat zones. Do you think they'd just be checking it out and watching it?
Hey, you know what I think?
What?
Maybe a little Agent Orange poisoning?
Possibly.
Right.
A little bit.
You think that's causing them to see little ships flying in the air?
And maybe, we were also bombing Vietnam pretty heavily if Ken Burns is to be believed, which I think he is. I trust him.
But I'm saying, if we think aliens exist, do you think they'd watch humans fight each other?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose.
What a fucking HBO miniseries that is.
for aliens.
Look at these idiots blowing each other up.
Over the next several years of his life, he would constantly notice strange flying objects in the sky. Nicholas liked to work on scientific experiments. One night in particular, he and a friend were sitting in the backyard playing with one of his newest scientific experiments, which was a large laser. Fucking nerds. All of a sudden, a UFO appeared directly over his house and just hovered there. So Nicholas decided to point his laser at the UFO, which he claimed caused the object to start malfunctioning.
Oh, he shot a fucking laser at it.
He's like the guy from Independence Day. He's so fucking badass.
Yes.
Now that the UFO was experiencing technical difficulties, it attempted to leave, and when it was taking off, it was wobbling all over the place. Nicholas thought it was going to hit his neighbor's house, but seemed to regain its functions and took off. You know, okay, I think I would hold on to that thing if, like, he can fight off an alien craft with the laser he made.
Yeah.
Or sell it to the government for sure.
No, don't tell them anything. Never tell the government anything.
Okay, sell it
Listen,
to
they're
Dick
going to
Cheney,
learn about
then.
it from the aliens once they get back to Area 51.
Just stay away from the government. If you know anything, don't tell them anything.
Don't tell them anything?
No. They'll put you in a goddamn lab and poke you with needles until you die.
Or they'll take your idea and then you'll wind up dead from a suicide.
Is that what happened with Flex Seal?
gunshots.
Is that what happened with Flex Seal, Jordan?
Flex Seal?
Yeah. Yeah, Billy Mays was killed for Flex Seal was too good.
That's right.
Now that Sharon and Nicholas had been brought together, both of them firmly believed that the aliens had set all of this into motion over a long, long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
The aliens had been sending subliminal psychic message of each other throughout their lives and even seemed to make sure that they would meet each other at random points at random times, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
Either way, the two would soon be married and begin living together, which seemed to cause even more anomalies to occur within their domicile. After 2 weeks of living together, Nicholas began to take notice of a weird scratching he would get on his penis after having sex with Sharon.
Sounds like an STD.
She sounds unfaithful.
So naturally, either Sharon has claws in her vagina, or those aliens were up to no good again.
Oh, they put a fucking dimmy up there. Huh?
Nicholas then closely examined Shannon. I can't even say his fucking name. Nicholas then closely examined Sharon's vagina.
Go to a doctor, Sharon.
And noticed a small triangular object implanted just inside the opening of her vagina, but it was too deeply lodged to remove.
Right. You can't get that,
What is that, Sharon? God damn it.
and it's too slippery. I can't get the goddamn thing out of here.
Quit getting turned on. I can't get my hands around it.
Oh.
But here's the thing. Like you said, why didn't she go to the doctor? Especially if there's a fucking thing in your vagina.
She's had a bean in her head that's
Yes.
making noises and a fucking toothy claw in her.
Go to the fucking
Nether regions.
doctor, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after they started tampering with it, the vaginal implant started acting even weirder. Once, while in the middle of sex, both of their faces began to glow with a blue-white light that also projected onto the ceiling.
That means orcs are around in Lord of the Rings with Frodo's
Maybe,
sword stick.
maybe that's why they're doing it. So the aliens are saying there might be an orc party coming to your house right now.
Shit, man.
Another night, while in the middle of sex, they noticed 12 light blue dots on the ceiling. The dots began to grow larger and larger in diameter until each of them were roughly 8 inches in diameter. Then, within each dot, an oblong face began to take the form of the gray aliens.
No.
Each image was monochromatic and composed entirely of various shades of blue. Naturally, Sharon began to freak out and Nicholas was attempting to calm her down. She was yelling,
They're staring at us. They knew we were having sex.
I'm surprised you didn't just like throw a pillow over her vagina to stop the projection.
Yeah. Shut this movie down.
I think the aliens are voyeurs.
Oh, yeah.
They love to watch her fuck.
I hope they're,
Yeah, get her, Nicholas.
I hope they're in their little closets on their
You're
spaceship.
just jerking off.
Yeah.
Stick it in her butt.
Another night, after Sharon and Nicholas had been fucking several times in one night,
Wow.
her vaginal implant began to burn and make a clicking motion inside of her.
Oh god, it's the Predator.
What if that's the noise it did make that?
Oh,
I
no.
can't even replicate it. Can you do it, Jordan?
I can't.
I can't either.
I tried it like a few times.
Cody,
like last
find a predator noise and
I'll
put
put it
in.
right in there.
All right.
Once again, It freaked out Sharon, but Nicholas was able to calm her down because he probably just wanted to finish.
Yeah, he's like, I got
It
places
was an
to be.
old boy's trying to get his nut.
I need to go to sleep.
One final incident that Sharon and Nicholas recalled was Sharon was simply laying in bed watching TV when she kept feeling something touching the top of her head. Initially, she believed this was just a pesky insect and swatted it away.
It's the lentil trying to escape.
Exactly.
It's a Mexican jumping bean in there. Then she felt like something was moving her hair and touching her scalp. Sharon leapt up out of bed and told Nicholas.
Something was touching me on the top of my head.
Then they both looked and noticed a white blob on the ceiling that zoomed into the bathroom.
Oh!
When they entered the bathroom, it had already vanished.
It was all of his stored up semen from
A giant load up there, and it came to life and took off. Sharon and Nicholas continued to believe that they were prearranged to be together. Sharon stated that
It was as though someone searched my innermost mind to see what type of man I would be drawn to, and that I would be happiest with. He is every kind of man I ever fantasized about or dreamed of. I couldn't love him more, and I couldn't help but love him.
Nicholas stated this about Sharon.
She is the perfect female for me. When I saw her, I knew she was love. I fell for her instantly and made up my mind from the first moment that one way or the other, she would be my wife. I was as though my long search for the woman of my dreams was over. I knew she would love me too.
That
Or I'd
is
cut her
romantic.
fucking head off.
Because of that goddamn lentil.
She's the only woman who would peg the shit out of me.
Hell yeah.
All right, our next boy is Claude. Say his name one more time, Jordan.
Vorlon.
On December 13th, 1973, a young Frenchman named Claude Vorahan felt the need for an adventure. So he traveled to a volcanic overlook in Clermont-Ferrand in France. He parked his car near the crater and decided to walk to the center of the crater named Puy de la Salas. Sorry, French people.
So I'm not.
It was a fairly popular spot to visit in France due to the fact that it was an inactive volcano, which is awesome.
Yes, oh yeah.
Once Claude reached the top of the volcano, he was enjoying the view when he took notice of red flashing lights within the fog at the top. At first, he just assumed it was merely a helicopter, but upon looking closer, it was a flying saucer hovering about 20 meters above him.
Oh.
It was about 7 meters in diameter, 1.5 meters in height, flat underneath, and conical on the top. The lights at the bottom of the ship were so bright you could barely look at it without blinking or wincing your eyes.
Ow. I don't know.
Are you scream when there's a bright light?
Yeah. I scream when anything surprises me at all.
Oh, we know.
Yeah.
What if it was a giant spider flying in the sky? Would
I'd
that
kill
kill you?
myself.
You jump right into that inactive volcano.
Yeah, I'm jumping. Cleanse me, rocks.
The UFO slowly descended to the ground without making a single noise. Claude was terrified, but excited at the same time because he was witnessing a UFO and wished he had brought his camera with him. Once the craft landed, the trapdoor beneath the ship began to open and a stairs of sorts emerged.
Rad.
Then, the being from within the ship began to come down the stairs. Claude at first believed, because of the stature of the being coming down, it was a child.
Little baby?
But once the alien was fully in his view, he discovered it was a full-grown adult alien, measuring about 1.2 meters in height.
Oh.
He had long black hair and a closely cropped black beard. He had dark eyes that were almost almond-shaped.
Oh, like you.
He wore a green, tight-fitting one-piece suit. That's sexy.
Yeah, that's hot.
The alien's skin was mostly white with a hint of green tint, and Claude claimed he had an aura of sorts glowing around his head. With the tint of his skin, Claude thought perhaps this being had some sort of liver trouble. Awfully presumptuous of you, asshole.
Got cirrhosis.
Either way, the alien simply smiled and began to speak with Claude. The alien explained to Claude that he knew every language on Earth,
Whoa.
so he was fluent in French.
Oh, omelette au fromage.
that a real? Are any of these real words?
Well, that was Dexter's Lab, and then he said, "What did you say? Water, something like that."
I said un deux trois.
Like, is that 1, 2, 3?
Yeah.
French class with Bumblebutts. Here we go. He knew everything about Claude and had purposely sent telepathic messages to him in order to lure him out to this isolated spot in France to speak with him.
What a beast.
Claude and the alien then made their way inside the ship. Claude later said that the inside of the ship was a mild temperature, had a slightly metallic blue floor, had no source of light but was bright inside, and showed no sign of an instrument panel similar to that of an airplane. Claude then sat in a large chair, and the alien sat in his small chair that raised up so they could be on equal footing.
Oh, yeah.
The alien then said,
You will tell the humans about the truth of what they are, and about what we are. Judging by their actions, we will be able to ascertain, well or not, we can show ourselves freely and officially. Wait until you know everything before you start speaking. In this way, you can defend yourself properly against those who will not believe you. You must bring them incontestable proof. You will write down everything I tell you, and you will publish the writings in book form.
You will have a national bestseller.
is he like twiddling his fucking mustache while he's saying this?
What an asshole.
He's got a top hat and a cane on.
Hey man, trying to do alien mixed with French is
It's
tough.
perfect. I love it. Claude replied,
But why do you choose me?
Democracy was born in France,
Oh.
and France has a reputation the world over for being the country of freedom.
Oh.
Because you were born of a Jewish father and a Catholic mother, we believe you to be a very important link between two very significant peoples in the history of the world.
the alien continues by saying that because Claude was born in 1946, after the first atomic explosion, he was the perfect choice for the mission.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of people that could have
I feel
done that.
I
No,
feel like this asshole wants to be
Claude-
a snowflake.
Claude and Claude only, goddamn.
I'm a half Jewish, half Catholic boy.
Humans were beginning to master the atom, and the time was right for the aliens to reveal themselves to humans.
Where do you come from?
From a far distant planet of which I will tell you nothing for fear that the men of Earth will be unwise and disturb our tranquility.
But the aliens also said with man's current technology, there was no way for them to reach their planet anyway.
Who are you?
We are men like you, and we live on a planet similar to Earth.
Why do you come to Earth?
To observe human evolution and to watch over humanity. They are the future, we are the past.
Wow. Is your planet heavily populated?
Our planet is more heavily populated than your own.
I would like to go to your planet. Is that possible?
No, you could not live there. The atmosphere is different from yours. Besides, you have not been trained to undergo such an arduous journey.
But why did you have to meet us here?
Because the crater is isolated from civilization. You will come back tomorrow, bring your Bible, and be prepared to take notes. Do not bring any metallic object and speak to no one of our meeting. Otherwise, we will never meet again.
Ooh.
Gee, purrs.
So Claude exited the craft, and the UFO took off. The following day, he returned to the exact same spot, with a Bible and notebook in hand. The UFO showed up on schedule, and Claude entered to continue their conversation. The alien started by telling Claude,
Good luck, Jordan.
Long ago, on our distant planet, men reached a very advanced state of technical and scientific knowledge. They began to experiment by creating new life forms. This frightened the authorities of our home planet, who ordered that they stop. They continued to set out in search of a distant planet where they could continue their scientific research and experimentation. Eventually, they came across a planet where all the conditions were right for life. That planet was Earth. Take your Bible. In it, you will find traces of the truth, which has been distorted by transcribers who did not understand the highly technical information conveyed. And therefore, They attributed it to a mystical and supernatural force. Only the parts of the Bible that I translate are important. The rest is only poetical babbling. Let
What
us
an edgelord.
Let us begin with Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. Elohim means those who came down from the sky, and it is plural in meaning. This means that the scientists from our world arrived on yours and recreated it.
Oh, they built it. They built it up.
They terraformed.
I love it.
And so, the alien continued to explain how the human race was created by these alien scientists. They were surprised how their creations were so much like themselves. Intelligent, emotional, and subject to the same weaknesses and faults. Soon, the aliens began to interbreed with humankind and would create hybrid humans.
Right.
When the leaders from their home planet found out what they had been doing on Earth, they determined humans were an abomination and needed to be destroyed. Can't disagree, right?
No,
or is that edgy?
I'm
in
all
there.
about it.
Yeah.
So, they caused the Great Flood from the Bible by launching nuclear missiles from their home planet.
Fuck
Okay.
Yes. Oh my lord.
Of course, the creators of humans created a hovering space ark to save all of their creations.
Aw.
Alright, so there's Noah for you.
Oh, the Ark of the Covenant.
No! I didn't say Harrison Ford was here. The alien continued telling Claude he was to create a religious political movement called the Modic. This movement would prepare humanity for the welcoming of the Elohim.
Elohim.
I think it's Elohim.
Elohim.
Elohim, creators of humanity. In 1975, they decided to change the name of the movement to the Raelian Movement and is now a worldwide organization. Have you guys
Ooh.
heard of this before?
No, but
This
I'm
is-
interested.
This is like a real religion right now.
I mean, I've been looking for a cult to join
Hell
lately,
yeah,
so
Get in there, boy.
So it started in 1975,
Apparently.
and it's about Raelians.
It might be Rael. Rael.
Oh.
You remember Lord Rael?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is his thing or not.
No
but
way.
It might be. I don't know. I should have researched it more.
Wow.
The goal for the Raelian movement was the same as before. Humanity needed to be informed about the Elohim and to prepare to welcome their space fathers. They were also informed when the Elohim arrived, they would bring with them all of the prophets who had ever existed in every single religion.
The all-star team of prophets coming down.
How powerful
Hell
would
yeah.
that be? Got
That's-
all of them coming down.
Oh my love.
There's only like 5 million of them.
Yeah.
Eventually, the alien would allow Claude to join them on a trip to their home planet. He described their planet as being very beautiful and similar to Earth. He attended a lavish banquet where he saw a white, yellow, and black man who spoke a language he could not understand, but claimed it was very similar to Hebrew.
I don't even know what I'm supposed to be imagining him to look like.
At this banquet,
he looks like a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Okay.
hell
Perfect.
yeah. Hell
Just
yeah.
imagine Terry Bradshaw.
At this banquet, the alien he had met on the volcano approached Claude and told him who he truly was.
Oh shit!
He claimed he was Yahweh, the God of the Old Testament.
Oh,
He told Claude that whether or not he could complete his mission, he had earned the right to eternal life.
Hell yes.
Yahweh went on to explain that the people surrounding the dinner table were actually biological robots.
That's just humans, right?
Well, like, not real humans.
Okay.
They're like, I don't know. I don't know what
So-
the fuck they are.
would that kind of be like an android?
Yeah, I'd say that's like android or cyborg maybe.
So they're gonna malfunction and force close everything.
Oh.
Again, like Terry Crews.
Yes.
You mean Terry
Terry
Bradshaw?
Bradshaw.
Well, I'm not trusting Terry Crews either. The robots are incapable of acting independently outside of their programming. Also at the table were extra special guests. Moses,
Oh,
Elijah, Jesus Christ,
Oh, shit.
Muhammad,
Praise be
and
unto him.
Buddha. Can you imagine having dinner with these guys, Adam?
That's like the heads of state, man.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
Is he in like the religious UN right now?
I don't know. He just said it was him and all these guys, like
Is
parents.
he on PCP? 'Cause I don't know what's going on here.
I don't know. PCP seems a little low class for France.
Yeah.
I feel like they only have designer drugs there.
After dinner, they gave Claude a tour of the factory where they made the robots. After the tour, Claude told Yahweh he was tired and could use some rest.
Can't Yahweh just like wish that away? Wish his
Apparently,
tiredness?
if you have eternal life, you're still tired. I don't know. Yahweh then assigned him a very attractive male robot to give him anything he could desire. The robot then said,
Would you like to see your room?
the robot then handed him a belt he could use for traveling. And in an instant, he found himself transported to the house he would be staying in, that he later claimed looked like a giant scallop shell.
Fun. This is like a
SpongeBob.
fun beach-themed resort.
Don't all humans live in giant scallop shells? I don't
I mean,
know.
hey man, on a philosophical level, why not?
The inside was extremely huge, with a sunken bed covered in numerous furs. He also had access to a large sunken bathtub surrounded by delightful forms of vegetation.
Hell yeah, give me that carrot.
The robot then asked Claude,
Would you like some female companions? Come, you shall have your choice.
Oh, I'm gonna come.
Claude then put the belt back on and was transported to the factory where the robots were made. He sat down in an armchair and put the special helmet on.
Oh my god. Like, I think we missed some Mormon prophets here with the magic clothing.
Jesus.
When he put the helmet on, he noticed a cube in front of him. And inside the cube, he noticed a magnificent young brunette. The robot asked if he would like to modify her appearance in any way. Claude said no. Then another woman appeared, a voluptuous blonde. He declined any modifications. Then a very attractive redhead appeared in the cube. He declined any modifications. Then a beautiful black woman, a slim Chinese woman, and a voluptuous Asian woman.
God.
He declined any modifications once again. Then all of a sudden, the machine fired on and started working.
Oh, he's getting all of these ones
Uh-huh.
with factory parts. He
Yep.
didn't want anything.
Top of the line OEM parts only.
Hell yes, Mopar girls.
Claude then put the belt back on and was transported back to the house. And to his surprise, all 6 of the girls he saw in the cube were waiting for him.
Yee.
Claude said he was given the most unforgettable bath with 6 of them of these extremely sexy ladies. The robot attendant asked if Claude would like some music. Claude said yes.
Hell yes, I would.
When a man loves a robot.
What if
6 of
what
them?
if he just turned on a Druid album right then and there?
Oh,
Soon after his bath and a bit of dancing with the ladies, they all retreated to his bedroom. Claude would make love to all 6 of the sexy female robots, and Claude later said it was the most entertaining night of his life. The following morning, Yahweh returned Claude to Earth to continue his work, and so the Raelian movement continues to this day.
I'm proud. I love Claude.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's a character.
I'm
isn't
ready to
he
be a
not?
Raider.
I would follow Claude into battle.
If you could have 6 robots.
He's the
bang.
modern day Joan of Arc, I
He
think.
is. He's a brilliant man who's probably very sad and lonely.
I
He
love
grew
him.
up in France.
I love you, Claude.
Our final story is of Peter Corey, an abduction case from Australia.
Say it right. Straya.
Australia has resulted in what may be the world's first DNA test of abduction-related biological material.
Oh, Cody, put some air horns in here.
The intriguing results raise many questions about the physical nature of abduction and also illustrate the need for more intensive scientific research of this worldwide mystery. Peter Corey, the subject of this case, was born in Lebanon in 1964 and moved to Australia in 1973. There he met his future wife Vivian at school in 1981.
Aw.
Peter and Vivian were married in 1990 and now have 2 children. They live in Sydney. Peter works in building trades and owns a business in cement rendering.
Oh, he's a finisher.
He's a finisher.
Peter and Vivian had their first UFO experience in February of 1988, a simple sighting of unusual moving lights. But in July of that year, Peter had a deeply disturbing, consciously remembered contact experience that he says changed his life. While lying in his bed, he felt something grab his ankles.
And force him above his head.
Oh, it's giving him the full scorpion.
He suddenly felt numb and paralyzed, but remained conscious. Then noticed 3 or 4 small hooded figures alongside his bed. He experienced telepathic communication with one or more of these beings. He was told to relax and to not be afraid. It would be like last time.
Whoa.
Just the tip, baby. He then saw that they were about to insert a long needle into the side of his head,
That's not okay.
whereupon he blacked out.
That's what I would do.
He jolted awake sometime later, leapt out of bed, and ran into the living room where he found his father and brother apparently dozing. Both he and his brother felt that only 10 minutes had passed since they had last been awake, but they soon realized over an hour had passed.
They were drugged by the aliens.
Aliens are very, date rapey. Very date rapey.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
They grab his ankles and scare him into passing out.
It'll be like next time, Peter.
Why does he turn him into a circle? Or why do they do that? It's not nice.
I don't know. The next morning, Peter and Vivian noticed that there was an obvious puncture mark on the side of his head with traces of dried blood.
Ew.
At this time, Peter had never heard of alien abduction.
Okay. In 1988. There's been a bunch of movies.
He'd never heard of it.
Fucking books, even.
I don't know what those aliens even are.
Oh, wait, he's Lebanon. Wait, is he in Straya?
He's in Australia, yeah.
Nah, fuck you, dude.
His memories were vivid and alarming, but he could find neither answers nor comfort from friends or acquaintances. In July of 1992, Peter had the experience that became the focus of this case study. Because the experience had disturbing sexual aspects, Peter was very reluctant to talk about it.
Well, that's why we want to hear about it.
We want the details, Pete.
Come on, Petey.
Peter told that his encounter on July 23rd, 1992 began at 7 p.m. in the morning while he was in bed. He had recently been injured at work and was taking pain medication. Early that morning.
Yeah.
He had driven his wife to work.
Oh,
and
on pain meds.
and then returned home and went back to bed for a short while. Suddenly, he bolted wide awake and sat up. There were 2 humanoid females sitting on the bed, both entirely naked.
Woo!
These 2 women looked human in nearly every way.
Yeah?
They had very well proportioned adult bodies.
Uh-huh.
One looked somewhat Asian with straight, dark, shoulder-length hair and dark eyes. The other looked perhaps Scandinavian with light-colored, maybe bluish eyes and long blonde hair that fell halfway down her back. Her hair was especially notable to Peter.
I had never seen a hairstyle like that. It was curled something like Farrah Fawcett, but to an extreme. It just looked really exotic in a way.
You know what? If he knows who Farrah Fawcett is, he knows what a fucking alien abduction is.
E.T.'s way out by this point.
But Peter felt that these women were not exactly human. Their faces were somewhat odd, not unattractive, but too chiseled, very high cheekbones, and the eyes that were 2 or 3 times larger than normal. Very judgmental, Peter.
Yeah.
Peter took special notice of the blonde. He really likes the fucking blonde.
Yeah. Gentlemen's prefer blondes, right?
Her face was too long, he felt.
I have never seen a human looking like that.
The blonde, who was sitting in a kneeling position on the bed, seemed to be in charge.
Ready to suck some dick.
Peter thought she was communicating telepathically with the dark-haired woman who was sitting with her legs partially folded under her. There was something stiff, almost blank in the expressions of the women, Peter thought. Though stunned by the sudden appearance of the women, Peter had only a few moments to consider how they could have possibly arrived in his bedroom before the blonde reached out with both her hands and cupped the back of his head, drawing his face towards her chest. He resisted. She pulled harder. He kept pulling back.
She was pretty strong. She pulled me over and my mouth was basically on a nipple. And I bit. I like a good titty in my mouth.
Peter said he doesn't know why he bit the woman, but even though he felt a small piece of her nipple come away in his teeth, she did not cry out, but...
The expression on her face was like, this isn't the way. In a way, it was shock or confusion. She looked at the Asian one and looked at me like, this isn't the way it's supposed to happen. You've done this wrong.
You don't bite someone's nipple so hard a piece of it comes off, Peter.
You're the human, Peter.
You're married and have kids. You should know how this works.
You are the human here.
Involuntarily, Peter swallowed the small fragment in his mouth.
What the fuck?
And it caught in his throat.
Oh, no.
He went into a coughing fit. Suddenly, the two women simply disappeared.
You're like, oh, fuck this idiot.
He bit my fucking nipple off. Once he realized the women were gone, he tried to clear his throat by drinking water. It didn't work. Then he had an urge to go to the bathroom. He realized that his penis felt very painful.
Oh,
what the fuck?
Standing in the bathroom, he looked at the head of his penis and found two thin blonde strands of hair wrapped tightly around it.
wow. What?
Apparently there's two pieces of hair around his pee-pee.
Was he using his dick as like a curling iron on her and he doesn't remember? I'll get you those Farrah Fawcett curls, honey.
He's just like, there's two pieces of hair around his pee-pee. He struggled to unravel the pieces of hair as the pain became an intense burning sensation. Finally, he managed to remove the two pieces of hair and immediately put it in a small sealable plastic bag.
Good. Thank goodness.
The reason I did that was because I knew there was no way at all that a hair that size and wrapped around the way it was should have been there. Thinking of these women, the thing in my throat, the hair, something bizarre just happened. No shit, Peter.
Peter decided to keep the hair samples in case it would ever be useful later on.
Man, he just banged a hot blonde and then wanted to brag about it,
probably.
but not get in trouble by his wife.
I
Yeah,
think
they
you're
were
right.
aliens.
The thing in Peter's throat stayed there for 3 days. He coughed constantly. He tried clearing his throat with water, bread, anything he could think of, but nothing helped. On the 3rd day, the feeling in his throat just went away.
Ooh, dissolvable nipple.
He did not want to tell his wife how his coughing fit had come about, but 2 weeks later he decided to tell her.
I was shocked she accepted it better than I did.
I am too, Peter. Jesus, she bought that?
Oh, God.
The pieces of hair, carefully stored away since the encounter, became the subject of the first openly reported scientific DNA test on a possible abduction-related sample. The blonde hairs were extremely thin and almost clear in color. It was determined that the hair was not chemically treated because if it had been, little or no mitochondrial DNA could have been recovered. Which is, if we're to believe that though, if a lady throughout her entire life had never had her hair dyed or colored of any sort, that would be very weird. But like you said, I think Peter might be just having an elaborate story because he had an affair.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
honestly, that's the way to be. Hopefully there's not like a blonde lady walking around with half her nipple bitten off. Because that's even harder to explain away.
I hope they searched the hospitals and like seen if they could find like, did anybody come in with like a half a nipple missing? But yeah, that's our 3 stories today, fellas.
That's some
I
romance.
like it.
That's some spicy romance.
You can tell Adam really liked Petey.
Oh yeah, Peter's
yeah.
good. That's a good story. I love that Lebanese man. I love him. No, Cody, you killed it. You did a good job.
I always love these sexual encounters with aliens.
Definitely.
I have a hunch that's going to be a recurring theme throughout the life of our cast.
It's at least, shit.
People
Top
loved
10.
it, so
Top
I was
10
like,
most
why
popular.
not do it again? Mm-hmm. Do you think it'd be too edgy to call this Sexual Encounters with Extraterrestrials The Second Coming?
I think so. I think we might get in trouble for that, maybe.
You can't put CUMMING.
I think that violates iTunes' vulgarity policy.
Fucking iTunes.
You're
Yeah.
probably right. Fuck it.
You could do like C star.
C
M
asterisk
star.
asterisk
Yeah. hell yeah.
MING.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you could do all that if you want. If you want to do that. If you want to get a hold of us and tell us what we should censor in our episode titles, you can do so at bumblebuttpodcast@gmail.com.
What's that, Adam?
bumblebuttpodcast@gmail.com. As always, you can get a hold of us on Twitter at bumblebuttpod and Facebook and Instagram at bumblebuttpodcast. We all have personal Instagrams. Mine is at bumbleadam. Cody's is at Cody ZEBUB, and Jordan's is at j.j.fox.
Oh.
Now it's time for the most important part of the show, at least if you ask Cody, the iTunes reviews.
Hell yeah. We've been on a roll, actually. So we've gotten 3 new writtens, actually, which is...
Shut up.
Yes. Fucking amazing.
Hold the front door.
Shut the front... Was that what it is? Shut the front door?
Yeah, shut
Yeah.
the front door.
All right, so our first one is titled, I Stole My Brother's iPhone to Leave This.
Awesome.
Thank you, sir.
That's what I'm talking about.
Actually. By S.R. Ward 15. The only podcast out there that could even make molasses interesting.
Oh,
I look forward to new episodes every week.
yes.
Y'all are the only reason I get through my 3rd shift job.
Ah,
Oof, that's a
disgusting.
tough one. For a good quality podcast without sexist douches, call Cody, Adam, and Jordan for a good time. Thanks for all the laughs, the cringe moments, and making me completely nauseous with your last episode. That was all you, Adam. Keep it creepy, boys. Mandy/miss.baby._doll93 on Instagram. Let's give her a follow.
yeah.
Mandy Beast.
Thank you very much.
Definitely. And
Here-
thank you for your brother for having an iPhone.
Here's a review, you bumbles, at RJ_2fit. He's on Instagram. He's spoken to me a few times. I found this podcast about a month or so ago. I'm sorry it's taken this long to leave a review, but I've been binging all of the episodes. You get me through my 3 a.m. no need for a brain job. I have you guys in one ear talking about the darkest stuff as I put a smile on my face and interact with customers/coworkers. That's awesome. I do that actually too.
Yep, definitely.
You boys do a great job, and I appreciate the research as well as the humor. And I appreciate Cody being active on social media. Looking forward to some Jordan Edgelord merch, hopefully. Jesus, fucking roasted you in there, Jordan.
Damn, dude.
Fuck. Thank you. That's a beautiful review.
Tungster.
Tungster, okay. Will definitely satisfy your hunger for true crime and simultaneously make you laugh. So thank you. Short and sweet.
Damn right.
Yeah,
That's all we need.
Fuck yeah. You did exactly what
We're
we needed.
we're at 91. We're getting so close to that first milestone we want to hit of 100, then 200, then a million. So
That's right.
thank you very much. Those are amazing.
Keep them coming.
Steal your
yeah.
brother or sister or dad or mom's phone. Steal grandma's phone. Do whatever you have to do.
Anybody on the street.
Yeah.
Use a knife if you have to. Mm-hmm. They'll give it up.
Tell them you have a really cool feature on iTunes that's secret. You got to show them and
Yeah.
then leave us a quick review and
Yeah.
run off really fast.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's what I would do.
That I fucking love it. That's fantastic. Great episode, great reviews,
Oh,
great
yeah.
everything. I'm very happy with all of it. So, I think that's going to do it for me, Adam. I think that's going to do it for Jordan. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you, Adam.
And I think that's going to do it for Cody. Thank you, Cody.
Thank you, Adam.
And everybody out there, have a nice weekend, unless it's Tuesday.
Very creative this week, Jordan.